All right, today we're going to break down a really popular online method for quitting pornography. And the whole idea behind it is pretty simple, actually. Stop relying on willpower and start using brain science. So we're going to walk through the entire system step by step based directly on the source material. So right off the bat, the source material hits you with this really stark number, 97%. It claims that a staggering 97% of people who try to quit pornography ultimately fail to do it for good. I mean, think about that. That's a huge failure rate, and it pretty much screams that the way most people are trying to do this just isn't working.
So, the big question is, why? Why is it so incredibly difficult? Well, according to the creator of this method, it's because the entire foundation of how we try to quit is just wrong. The problem isn't that you lack willpower.
And this is where the method really tries to flip the script. You know, the common approach is this constant, exhausting battle. It's you and your willpower fighting against your urges day in and day out. This new approach says, forget fighting. This is about rewiring your brain so the urges just disappear at the source.
Okay, first things first. The method says you gotta define the problem. To even begin to solve it, you have to be crystal clear on the actual impact it's having on your life.
And here's how the author puts it word for word. The argument here isn't that this is some harmless little habit. The whole perspective is that it's an active force that is literally rewiring your brain, just draining your motivation and absolutely crushing your self-confidence.
All right, so now that we've got the problem on the table, let's get into the good stuff. The actual 5-step method that's proposed as the solution.
So here's the roadmap, the whole game plan. It kicks off with a hard reset to just break the immediate cycle. Then you move into understanding what's actually triggering you. After that, you replace the habit, redesign your environment, and finally, and this is the big one, you shift your entire identity. We're going to dive into each one of these.
All right, step 1. This is all about immediate action, the 48-hour reset. And the logic, it's pretty simple. You can't think your way out of a habit loop while you're still stuck inside of it. You need a short, sharp break to just get some distance and interrupt that pattern.
And they get super specific here. We're talking delete any app that's a potential gateway. Social media, browsers, whatever. Tell your friends and family you're doing a digital detox so they don't wonder where you are. And physically get out of the places you normally relapse. Look, the goal isn't to solve everything at once. It's just about getting through those first 2 days.
Okay, once you're past that reset, it's time to do a little digging. Step 2 is all about figuring out your triggers. And this is a big one, because according to this method, this is where most people really get it wrong. The trigger is not what you think it is. It's almost always an emotion. Now, the method defines a trigger really specifically. It's not the urge itself. It's the negative feeling you had about 10 minutes before the urge even showed up. And usually it boils down to one of these 4 guys: boredom, stress, loneliness, or just straight up procrastination. So you figured out your trigger. Now what? Well, step 3 is all about having a plan. See, your brain is going to go looking for that dopamine hit one way or another. If you don't give it a healthy place to go, it's just going to default back to the old, easy path. So you have to be strategic, not just reactive. So what this method suggests is you create something called a dopamine menu. Think of it like a go-to list of healthy activities that give your brain a positive kick. The second you feel one of those trigger emotions, bam, you immediately pivot to one of these things, instead of letting that old habit loop even start. Okay, step 4 is built on this really powerful idea from habit science. Your environment is almost always stronger than your willpower. So instead of just gritting your teeth and trying to have more self-control in a weak moment, you just change the environment so you don't even have to make the choice. And all of these examples are about one thing: adding friction, making it harder to do the thing you don't want to do. Move your computer into the living room. Use a website blocker and have a friend set the password. Get the TV out of your bedroom. Charge your phone in the kitchen overnight. These are all little walls that your tired future self just won't have the energy to climb over.
All right, so we've got the steps down. But wait, there's more. The source also points out 3 huge mistakes that it claims will completely sabotage your progress. And knowing what not to do is just as important as knowing what to do.
First up, trying to cut down or quit gradually. Nope, the method is adamant this has to be a clean break. Second, trying to do it all by yourself, because that just lets shame and secrecy grow. And third, and this is a big one, focusing only on what you're stopping. The real goal is to focus on the person you're becoming.
And that last point? Well, that's the perfect lead-in to the final step. And honestly, according to the source, this is the most important piece of the whole puzzle.
It's not just about changing your behavior, it's about shifting your identity.
So, you have to stop saying this. When you say you're trying, you're telling yourself and everyone else that you're still in the struggle. The source argues that this language actually reinforces the idea that this is still part of who you are.
And you need to start saying this: I don't watch porn. See the difference? It frames it in a totally new way. It's not a struggle, it's just a statement of fact. That behavior is no longer an option because it simply doesn't line up with who you are now.
And the source is really clear on this. This is not just about, positive thinking or playing word games. It's about fundamentally rewiring your self-concept. Because when your actions align with your identity, the need for willpower just plummets. You don't do certain things because that's just not you.
And that really brings us to the big takeaway here, a question that goes way beyond just this one topic. This whole method is really built around one central question. When we really want to change something about ourselves, should we focus on the things we do, or should we start by changing our belief about who we are?